Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Investigators in Cars Drinking Coffee. I am your host. I'm your co-host. I'm Mark Mernan, president of Complete Legal Investigations in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I'm joined once again by the inimitable Wendy Strom-Mernan, licensed private investigator, certified paralegal, business partner extraordinaire. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We did. We closed out 2020
Yay.
and lived to tell the tale.
I know.
What a year. What a ride. So, but we're back. We did our last video on motivation, so we fired ourselves up again to get back out here and get back in the swing of things. But it's a new year, time for some new topics, and this week we're going to talk about something that is very common with private investigators: pretexting and the PI.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, what is a pretext, Wendy?
Well, it's, just an easy explanation is it's pretending you're someone else or something else to get information that you need.
That's right. Pretending to something else or having some other, having a reason, not necessarily a cover. Maybe a cover story would be the best way to do it over here. Yeah. So are they highly illegal?
I don't think so.
We use them.
Yes.
Okay.
I hope not.
Well, we have two categories. I've come up with two categories for the use of pretext. The category of never use a pretext and the category of occasionally use a pretext. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to kind of narrow, define the terms here. But a pretext essentially is a cover story designed to get information. And there was a great article by, I want to say it's Colleen Collins, who wrote for Pursuit magazine. So we'll put the link down below. But she's got some great insights into several years ago into what pretexting is and what some of the restrictions are. But essentially, it is a very common PI practice with private investigators. Have you ever used a cover story?
I have. One isn't coming right to my mind. I know I'm not comfortable with it. So
yeah, it's not for everybody. And not every investigation requires a pretext.
Yeah, and my role does not call on me to do that very often.
She's too honest.
I am.
She's cash register honest. Most of the time.
Yes.
Well, but in the investigative field, I think we can define the never occasions. There are never at a time when you never use a pretext, ethically, legally, there are times it's strictly forbidden. And one of those times is identifying yourself as a
law enforcement officer.
Yeah, that is a big no-no.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
That's a big no-no. Never identify yourself as
called a crime impersonating a
law enforcement officer. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no basis for it. There's no reason for it. You're not going to get yourself into anything but trouble trying to say you're a police officer or a federal agent. In my lengthy career, I've had people charged with impersonating federal agents, bail or law enforcement officers, trying to do skip tracing, repossessions, the whole gamut.
And there are PIs that have impersonated police officers.
Yeah, to their regret when they get caught. And it seems like when that happens, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
Someone's going to remember.
Yeah.
The second time is obtaining financial information. You can't use a pretext when you're pursuing financial information. You can't spoof, what they call spoofing a bank. You can't call a bank and say you're the account holder and get the bank balance information like that.
Oh no.
And yet there are many.
That's identity theft, right?
That's a part of identity theft.
Yeah.
But confidential and personal private banking information, you cannot get that by a pretext. Nor can you hire someone who uses pretexts to get that information.
Oh, that's true.
And we have had to vet vendors who, and I've interviewed a vendor specifically to ensure that the vendor was not using pretext information to get bank accounts or bank balances. So that's another area. That's another never.
Now, if you read PI novels or watch movies about private investigators, they do it all the time, don't they?
They do.
It's fiction.
The first episode of Magnum PI, the original Magnum PI with Tom Selleck, had him going in, and although he was a former naval officer, he went into a base posing as a current naval officer.
Oh.
Yeah, and stole some information. That's just fantasy.
Yeah.
You can't do that stuff.
We're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that stuff. I'm not going to certainly can't fit into my old Air Force uniform and try to get into that.
Yeah.
There are two other arenas, though, that I think are important now. Anything involving litigation, information that you're going to be using in litigation. What would be the problem with using a pretext when you are or claiming to be somebody else or using a cover story, and you're going to try to introduce that information in litigation.
Right.
Examples?
Oh, I don't know. You tell me.
Sorry. We had not rehearsed that part. As we don't rehearse much anyway.
This is your topic, Mark.
Oh, okay. Well, that's right. But the pretexting for, in other words, if I'm going to a witness in a criminal case, I cannot, number one, pose as a police officer, but I have to be forthright in telling that witness that I work for the criminal defense attorney, that I'm
true.
working with the attorney
Yeah.
representing the defendant. Why would that be an issue?
Well, you don't want people, telling you things because they think you're a police officer or you're an attorney or
Yeah.
you work for the prosecutor and they want to help justice or whatever.
Yeah.
They have to know who they're talking to, who they're giving information to.
Yeah, they have to give the information voluntarily and knowingly.
Yes.
And they're not going to do that if you're playing some kind of game, trying to game a witness on a criminal case, because criminal cases naturally end up in court. You have to be able to support the information you're providing, that you got it honestly, or that you didn't get it because you were straightforward about your role in the case.
Right.
The other one, I think, is civil plaintiff cases. I can never tell a witness in a plaintiff case that I work for the plaintiff's attorney. I'm sorry, I have to tell them that I work for the plaintiff's attorney. I can't tell them I work for the insurance company. I have to be straightforward on the party that we're representing.
Right.
Now, occasionally, have you ever had occasion to use a pretext? Going undercover?
Well, yes, that I've done.
She's our great undercover agent there.
Yeah,
Give me
no.
one example.
Well, one example.
Sure.
I had to, pose as a interested citizen at a public hearing about a local development, and so I had to go in as an interested citizen opposed to this developer.
Right.
Yeah.
And you actually didn't say anything. You just sat there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yes,
It was a
took
small
notes.
group, though.
No, that was but you had a cover story going in. You were just an interested party, but you just sat in there. Nobody asked for your identification. It was
No.
a public meeting, and you just
No.
sat there and took it.
Yeah, I had a right to be there. It was in
Yeah.
a public place.
Yep.
Didn't go into private property or anything, and
You were
Yeah.
perfectly legally allowed to be there. If
Yeah.
someone had asked you, you might have come up with a cover story. But we most frequently use pretext when we're trying to locate a witness, a civil defendant, or perhaps a subject or an asset like a car or a boat or something like that. That's when we'll typically be using pretext.
right.
And you know when I use them? Occasionally.
Yeah.
I'll go to, if I'm looking for John Doe who owes the bank a lot of money, and I speak with a neighbor, I'm not going to tell the neighbor that I'm there because John Doe is a deadbeat.
Right.
I may use a pretext like John Doe was involved in he was a witness to a car crash. We'd sure like to talk to him. Have you seen him lately? Oh yeah, he moved to Connecticut or wherever.
Right.
That's your typical PI use of a pretext. It's completely legal. The neighbor has no business knowing the reason for my visit. It doesn't help the subject. It doesn't,
And they don't have to talk to you.
No,
You're
they
not
don't have to
forcing
provide
anyone
anything.
to tell you
No,
anything. Yeah.
no, you just give them a basis, a cover
Yeah.
story. You're trying to actually protecting the witness's background in
You're
that
not
case.
slipping out $100 bill or anything?
Exactly. No, I don't slap. I'm too
Oh,
cheap.
okay.
That bribe thing went out through the window.
That doesn't work either.
No. Sometimes there have been occasions you've had to have a cover story to get into a development down here. We have so many gated developments
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah. Like you just want to look around or.
yeah, you might have to make an appointment with a realtor and look at a couple of properties and go find your subject after they leave.
Wow.
So,
Really?
yeah, that's happened. Sometimes I'll leave something with the realtor just because I didn't want to waste their time. But those are actually legitimate uses of the pretext. It is a valuable tool in the PI toolbox. Again, never impersonate somebody that you're not. You're just going to get
Right.
yourself in trouble. And occasionally, it can be an extremely valuable tool. But it should be used sparingly. It is not the go-to. Now, it is an extremely valuable tool. It is not illegal to use. It is not even unethical to use, but it must be used properly. Maybe that would be the best way to do it.
Yes.
And some people are better at it than others.
don't get too over anxious or too eager to solve your case and do things that'll get you in trouble later.
Or damage the case.
Or, hurt your attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these things, everything that an investigator does, particularly when you're working for an attorney, reflects on the attorney.
Right.
And we've spoken about that in a previous episode. What do attorneys look for when they hire a PI? Number one, they're looking at, don't make me look bad.
Yeah, of course. We've had lawyers ask us to do some pretty illegal stuff. So, it depends on the lawyer.
That should
and
be
then
another
that's when
video.
you say, no, you keep the lawyer out of trouble. And yourself.
Keep the lawyer and yourself out of trouble.
No, we were definitely
we're not doing that.
Plant anything.
We should definitely do a video on what lawyers have asked us to do in the past.
My.
The
Okay.
top 5 things. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Happy New Year from the
Yes,
Investigators
Happy
in
New
Cars.
Year.
If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button down below. Please review. We've got dozens of videos prepared for you on all kinds of investigative topics, general topics related to court system, business, motivation, information about working together as a couple, all kinds of PI hacks, which could be of interest to you. So thanks for joining us this week.
Yeah, we appreciate our fan base.
We really do. Thank you to all
that
of
have
you.
supported us. We appreciate it.
You've kept us motivated for another year as well. We look forward to hopefully seeing you all at some conferences, either on Zoom if you're not doing webinars. Make sure you check yourself into some of those, and perhaps even some conferences this year. So in the meantime, for myself, Mark Mernan, and Wendy Mernan from the Investigators in Cars Drinking Coffee, have a happy New Year. We'll see you on the next episode.
Happy New Year. Happy 2021.